Hi everyone, my name is Linda, and today I want to talk about what it really means to be a light worker from the perspective of a unity consciousness. I've been guided to talk about this today with the intention to help us all, us meaning those of us who identify as light workers and embrace a unity consciousness, to anchor deeper into the love and light that we are so that we can freely and more authentically be who we came here to be and do what we came here to do. There are so many people that I meet who resonate as a light worker in some form, spiritual healer, teacher, creative, someone who is here to anchor in the love and light in their own unique way, usually with some spiritual gifts of an intuitive nature, working with what we call the other side or the ethereal realm in some way, with divine love, who are actually struggling. And when I say struggling, I mean internally, like you wouldn't even know it. There is this inner identity shift that I believe we are all being called into to step into the authenticity of who we really are. Now, that phrase that I just said, the authenticity of who we really are, can be interpreted in so many different ways. And that's what I want to clarify and redefine and reaffirm today, specifically for light workers who embrace a unity consciousness, because I really believe that this is the core challenge that we all navigate along the journey, the identity of who we really are. So before I get into that, let me step back and share with you how I define light workers. There are three qualities that over the years, I've come to really hone in on that I believe when we choose to come into alignment with these qualities, we become more authentic and embodied in who we really are. So, the first quality is that you are a consciously evolving soul. What does that mean? You are conscious or aware of the presence of your soul, meaning that you know that who you really are goes beyond the body identification, beyond the ego identification, beyond your personality. And when you tune in to your soul presence and lead from that place of being connected to your soul, this is when you have a level of awareness that is not about, oh, how do I look? How am I being perceived? Do people like me? Are people going to judge me? It's not a self-conscious, am I saying that right? A self-conscious awareness, meaning little self, ego self, but it's an awareness of your presence, your God presence, your soul presence, your spirit presence, your energy presence. Use whatever name feels true for you. And when you show up from that sense of awareness, you become more spirit led in your life versus ego led in your life, which means, and I could go into another video on this, but to simplify it, it's really about leading from a place of love more dominantly than you would lead from a place of fear. And those of us who practice being more spirit led eventually make love our new default, so that when we fall, we simply fall back to the love that we are, meaning that over time, it becomes so uncomfortable to lead from the ego or to be attached to the ego or to fill our mind with fear, because we know that's naturally not who we are. That's the conditions that we've learned to take on as a result of the fear-based analytical mindset of our egos. So for those of you who practice awareness of your soul presence, it is highly likely, well, actually, I'm not even going to say highly likely, you are devoted to your spiritual practices, any spiritual practice that allows you to embody your connection, to tune in to the presence of your soul. It doesn't just happen. This is something that we must choose to place our focus on. in order to viscerally feel that embodiment. And we act from a place of feeling more than we do from a place of overthinking. It does not mean we negate our thoughts. It does not mean we negate the ego. Of course, we need the ego to survive. The ego does serve us, but it wasn't meant to lead us. When we allow ourselves to surrender to the energy of our spirit, source, God, universe, whatever name you want to use, this is when we build what I like to call a sense of Godfidence, meaning that you are more confident in the presence of God everywhere within you and around you, taking full ownership of your God presence, your soul presence, not in a way that strokes the ego or inflates the ego or makes us better or less than anyone, which would be a byproduct of the ego. But when you are in your God presence, you begin to see the God presence in every single person around you, meaning that now you're perceiving the world through the eyes of, I want to say equality is the word, but it's more like the feeling of oneness, unity, that the presence is everywhere. Meaning that no matter how much of someone's ego is playing out, you can see through them, meaning that you can see that there is a pure, loving soul simply being blocked or pinched off by whatever traumatic life experiences they've had that make them think that being in their ego is the only way to survive. So, a consciously evolving soul aims to lead from the soul, aims to discover their soul purpose, and goes through a journey of death and rebirth, constantly, in fact, in order to evolve the soul. So, when you have awareness of your soul presence, it is natural for you to do the inner work to heal, evolve, transform, become the greater versions of yourself at every new milestone that you are divinely called into. It does not mean you live a life of perfection at all. In fact, it means that you are more easily able to embrace your flaws with the love that you are, embrace your fear with the love that you are, because you know that at the core of your identity, love is who you are. The second quality that I use to describe light workers is that you practice oneness with source. Now, this goes hand in hand with being a consciously evolving soul, because when you practice tuning in to connect, you are by default surrendering to the divine presence within you, and you become more of an embodiment of your oneness with source, meaning that at the core of who you really are, you are source energy. And I talked earlier about the ego identity. When we identify with both, okay, yes, but I'm human, so of course I have an ego. So I am, therefore I am the ego. And yes, I'm spiritual, so of course I am source energy. We create what I call split energy, which puts us into this state of perpetual anxiety, perpetual self-doubt, perpetual self-sabotage, and this confusion, or like this, it's like this ebb and flow of self-worth. Oh no, I am worthy because I am one with source. Oh no, I am not worthy because I'm just a human and I have all these limitations. When we choose to identify with both, which I do believe is an illusion, we end up perpetuating this split energy that wreaks havoc on our journey. If we were instead, I'm not saying to negate the ego, but if we were instead to identify with our oneness with source as who we really are, meaning that instead of saying, I'm only human, I feel like, now I know that on the ego level, of course, that is true. But when we keep saying phrases like that, we keep reaffirming how limited we are. When the truth is that in the essence of the soul and the essence of our God source energy that runs through us, we are unlimited, we are prosperous, we have everything that we need to thrive, we have everything that we need to show up in our love and in our abundance. simply by choosing to remember who we really are, which is one with Source. Now, when it comes to the role of the ego, which does serve us, what we can do instead is to acknowledge, for example, we have an ego, but we are not the ego. There's a difference between acknowledging that you have an ego that is a part of your life experience versus attaching your identity to being the ego. And when you do that, you are able then to come into a sense of alignment where you allow your soul presence, your God source energy to lead the way, and your ego falls behind to be in service of your source energy. And this is what I call allowing yourself to become one with source, meaning that spirit leads the way and ego serves. Spirit leads the way and ego expresses your unique personality. Spirit leads the way and ego does what it needs to protect that. Not in the sense of sabotaging you and keeping you small, but when you let the ego know, hey, I got it, then the ego can fall in line to serve you and protect your connection to your source energy rather than aim to block it because you've allowed it to think that it must lead you instead of source. So I hope that makes sense in some way. The third one, the third quality that I really believe is universal to light workers is that we practice this, our consciously evolving awareness, evolving the soul, our oneness with source, in order to be a vessel of love for healing and transformation in any form. So it doesn't matter what line of work you're in, what career you have chosen, whether you have something that is traditionally um, meant to be of a spiritual healing practice or something that is more of like a corporate practice. It doesn't matter. If you know that there is this energy moving through you that you surrender to, in order for you to be this vessel, be this channel of the loving presence that you are, then whatever work you are called to do then stems from that energy of love, which is what I believe is the vibrational energy that we need to serve from and act from in order to be a part of the solutions rather than perpetuating more the fear, anger, resentment, and doubt that is also can also be experienced everywhere around us. Again, it doesn't mean that we deny it or avoid it, but it means that we can be more present to it because we are embodied in a state of love. If we were attached to our fear, we cannot be present to our fear, which is why we would just keep perpetuating it because it's our way of running away from who we really are, which is love. When we devote to our spiritual practices and tune in and embody the love that we are, it allows us to be present to everything that we experience without the need to take it on because our loving energy would either repel whatever hostility is going on around us or it would transmute or diffuse anything that is not of love just by our presence, just by our radiance. And from that energy, if we are guided to take action, then we would do so, but from a place of love. Now, this may not resonate with all light workers, and that's okay. That's not my intention. I'm speaking specifically to those of you who resonate, who are of a similar vibration, who are on a similar path, who stand here for a similar purpose in your own unique way. And I do believe and value spiritual liberation and everyone's free will to believe and honor whatever it is they choose. And with that said, I invite you to reflect on these qualities that I've shared for lightworkers and how you can navigate those challenges along your own journey. Because I know that each of us are here for a very unique purpose, and we're all meant to serve different groups of people, different levels of consciousness, different energies, with different unique spiritual gifts. We all serve a role. But I do believe at the core, we all stand here for love. So this is my invitation for you to choose the embodiment of your own love, to remember who you really are. So I'm going to end here in a little prayer and affirmation to help us anchor deeper into our love. So if it's safe for you to close your eyes, I invite you to join me and take a deep breath in and exhale. And just feeling your body relax, anchoring deeper into your body, deeper into your presence, deeper into Mother Earth, wherever you are. And we thank you, God, Source, Universe, for your loving presence within us and around us. Thank you for reminding us that you are with us everywhere we go, that all we simply have to do is take a breath and turn within, and we can be more an embodiment of our divine connection. Thank you so much for our innate desire to be consciously evolving souls in this lifetime, to practice our oneness with Source energy, and to serve as vessels of love for healing and transformation in any form, not just for others, but for ourselves, as we anchor deeper into our self-care, into our full embodiment of our soul presence, our inner knowing, our Source energy. And I ask that you show each of us the way to the most authentic expression of who we really are, so that we can show up freely and authentically to be who we came here to be and do what we came here to do in any way we are divinely guided. And so it is. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.